Yap Island, lost in the vastness of Micronesia, acts like a magnet, drawing in explorers and travelers eager to touch its unique culture and unravel the mysteries its inhabitants have guarded for centuries. Here, where the azure waves of the Pacific Ocean gently kiss the shores and lush tropical greenery hides ancient settlements, traditions that astound with their originality and difference from our familiar world are still alive. One of Yap's most amazing features is its stone money, giant limestone discs that sometimes reach several meters in diameter and weigh tons. But how did these enormous slabs become a symbol of wealth and a medium of exchange? And what other secrets does this distant island, where time itself seems to have slowed its pace, hold?
Let's embark on a fascinating journey to Yap Island together to learn more about its culture, traditions, and, of course, its famous stone money, which has become the hallmark of this incredible place. Let's dive into a world where ancient customs intertwine with modernity, where respect for ancestors and the preservation of cultural heritage are the foundation of life, and where every stone, every tradition has its own unique story, worthy of being told. Are you ready to discover how a system that seems incredible and even a little fantastic to us still exists on a small island in the Pacific Ocean?
Stone money, giants of the financial world.
Picture this: huge stone discs lined up on the ocean shore, towering over the land like ancient guardians of the island. These are the famous Yapese stone money, known as Rai. Their sizes range from a few dozen centimeters to 3.5 meters in diameter, and their weight can reach 4 tons. They were made from aragonite and calcite, limestone that is not found on Yap Island itself. This means that this stone money was quarried on other islands, mainly Palau, located about 400 kilometers southwest of Yap.
The process of quarrying and transporting Rai was incredibly labor-intensive and dangerous. Yapese navigators would set off for Palau in canoes, covering vast distances across the stormy ocean. After quarrying the stone, they would shape it into a disc and drill a hole in the center. Then, using bamboo rafts and levers, they would transport the stone money to their canoes. The journey back to Yap could take several months and was fraught with many dangers, including storms, pirates, and food shortages.
Interestingly, the value of Rai was determined not only by their size, but also by the history of their creation and transportation. The more effort was put into quarrying and delivering the stone, the more people died or were injured in the process, the higher the value of the stone coin. Each Rai had its own unique story, passed down from generation to generation. But how was this enormous stone money used? It wasn't intended for everyday purchases. Rai were mainly used for large transactions, such as buying land, paying dowries, ransoming hostages, or compensating for murder. They also played an important role in social and religious ceremonies.
Amazingly, Rai weren't necessarily moved when ownership changed. Often, they remained in their places, and the ownership simply passed from one person to another. Everyone knew who owned a particular stone, and this knowledge was considered sufficient to confirm ownership. It's similar to how we use electronic money today, which exists only as entries in bank databases. Yapese stone money is a unique example of a monetary system based on trust and social reputation. It demonstrates that money can be not only a physical object, but also a symbol reflecting social relationships and cultural values.
Exchange marriages, intertwining destinies and traditions. Another interesting feature of Yapese culture is exchange marriages, which, although not as widespread as stone money, also play an important role in the island's social life. Traditionally, marriages in Yap were not only for love, but also aimed at strengthening social ties between clans and villages. Exchange marriages were a complex process involving not only the bride and groom, but also their families and communities. The choice of partner was often determined by social status, economic standing, and political interests. The compatibility of clans and their ability to cooperate were also important factors. Mediators participated in the matchmaking process, negotiating between families and discussing the terms of the marriage. The dowry, which represented valuables transferred from the bride's family to the groom's family, played an important role. The dowry could include land, livestock, textiles, jewelry, and of course, stone money. The wedding ceremony in Yap was a colorful and solemn event, accompanied by songs, dances, and ritualistic rites. It symbolized the union of two families and the beginning of a new life for the newlyweds.
It's worth noting that exchange marriages in Yap were not forced. Young people had the right to refuse a proposed marriage, although this could lead to social disapproval. However, in most cases, marriages were concluded by mutual consent, and the newlyweds strove to build a strong and happy family. In modern society, exchange marriages in Yap are becoming increasingly rare. Young people are increasingly choosing partners based on love, and traditions are gradually taking a back seat. However, exchange marriages still remain a part of the island's cultural heritage and serve as a reminder of the importance of social connections and traditional values. Social structure and hierarchy, the layers of Yapi society. Yap society was traditionally organized into a complex hierarchy where everyone had their place and role. Social status was determined by origin, land ownership, and participation in ritual ceremonies. At the top of society were chiefs who held political and religious power. They controlled land distribution, made important decisions, and led ceremonies. Below the chiefs were nobles and priests who also enjoyed respect and influence.
The majority of the population consisted of commoners who were engaged in agriculture, fishing, and crafts. They were obligated to obey the chiefs and pay them tribute. Yap society also had slaves who had no rights and were completely dependent on their owners. The social hierarchy on Yap was quite rigid, and moving from one class to another was practically impossible. However, social status could change based on personal achievements and merits. For example, someone who showed bravery in battle or achieved success in a craft could receive a promotion in social status.
Yap's social structure reflected the specificities of its economy and culture. It ensured stability and order in society, but at the same time, limited opportunities for social mobility. In modern society, the social hierarchy on Yap is gradually blurring, and people have more opportunities for self-realization and success. Religion and spiritual practices, connection with ancestors and nature. Religion played an important role in the lives of Yap's inhabitants. They believed in the existence of spirits that inhabited nature and influenced people's lives. Sacrifices were made to the spirits, and people prayed to them for protection and well-being. An important element of Yap's religious beliefs was the cult of ancestors. The islanders believed that the spirits of deceased ancestors continued to live and care for their descendants. Sacrifices were made to ancestors, and they were asked for advice and help. Religious ceremonies on Yap were complex and colorful. They were accompanied by songs, dances, and ritual actions. Priests participated in the ceremonies, possessing knowledge of religious beliefs and the ability to communicate with spirits. Religion on Yap was closely linked to nature. The islanders revered the sun, moon, sea, earth, and other natural objects. They believed that nature possessed spiritual power and could influence people's lives. In modern society, religious beliefs on Yap are preserved but are undergoing changes. Many islanders have adopted Christianity, but at the same time continue to honor their traditional beliefs and rituals. The influence of modernity, challenges, and prospects. The island of Yap, like many other remote corners of the world, faces the challenges of modernity. The development of tourism, globalization, and climate change are impacting the island's culture and traditions. Tourism brings economic benefits to Yap, but at the same time can lead to the commercialization of culture and the loss of traditional values. Globalization promotes the spread of Western culture and lifestyles, which can lead to the loss of the island's identity and uniqueness. Climate change is causing sea levels to rise, threatening the existence of coastal settlements and damaging the environment. Despite these challenges, the people of Yap strive to preserve their culture and traditions.
They actively participate in cultural events, pass on knowledge and skills to the younger generation, and develop sustainable development strategies. The island of Yap has enormous potential for tourism development, but it is important that this development is sustainable and does not harm the culture and environment. It is necessary to attract tourists who respect the island's culture and traditions and are willing to contribute to its preservation. The island of Yap is a unique place where ancient traditions intertwine with modernity. Preserving its cultural heritage is an important task not only for the islanders, but for all of humanity. After all, Yap's culture is part of our common cultural heritage and deserves to be preserved for future generations.
Conclusion. Lessons from the island of Yap. A journey to the island of Yap is not just an introduction to a unique culture and traditions. It is an opportunity to reflect on the value of human diversity and the importance of cultural heritage. Yap's stone money, exchange marriages, and other cultural features demonstrate that there are different ways to organize society and different value systems. The island of Yap teaches us to respect other cultures and traditions, even if they seem strange or incomprehensible to us. It reminds us that culture is an important factor in social cohesion and identity. And finally, it calls on us to treat the environment with care and preserve it for future generations.
What lessons can we learn from the history and culture of the island of Yap? How can we apply these lessons in our own lives and in our society? These questions remain open for reflection and can serve as a starting point for new research and discoveries. After all, studying other cultures is not only broadening our horizons, but also an opportunity to better understand ourselves and our place in the world.